Today on All Things 80s, it's the football superstars from Panini. Welcome back to All Things 80s, and if you grew up in the UK in the 80s, you'll know all about Panini and their football stickers. But in 1984, they changed things up a bit with this album called the Football Superstars. Now, aside from the fact that this album did not accommodate stickers, it accommodated plastic cards. They actually came with its own little scratch card, which was quite a novelty at the time. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a closer look at this, and I'll give you my thoughts on Panini's Football Superstars from 1984. So here we are with the Football Superstars from 1984, and the first thing I should probably mention is that this is not necessarily an album in the traditional sense. This was a series of two-sided sheets that were not stapled, so they could be pulled apart quite easily and used to display on your walls. So I guess what we'll do is we'll just turn the first page, and you'll see here we've got some Scotland and Deutschland. Now, as I said earlier, these do come apart to give you like a nice display for your walls. So this obviously is Scotland, and as I mentioned, these are not stickers. These are actually plastic cards that, if I take one out, are transparent on the back, which is rather interesting, given that in '84 this seemed like state of the art to us. We were used to the stickers, so to get these was quite something. Now, you did have to be quite careful with these because too much excessive handling and when you're doing your swaps would actually scratch the image. So a few of mine do have some slight damage. Graham Souness, for example, I don't know how well it's coming across on camera, but the border here is slightly worn away. So you did have to be rather careful with these. Now, unlike the stickers where you would take the backing off and just slap them in place, these were in, or the album, or the, I keep calling it an album, it's not an album, but the binder that came with these had pre-cut corners for you to simply slot them in, a bit like a stamp collecting album. So, not quite as much fun as the stickers were, but nevertheless, the fact that these were, done on transparent plastic was quite revolutionary to us 10-year-old kids at the time who were used to having stickers. So this was Scotland. A couple of points to note are that unlike the traditional Panini albums, the teams that were featured in this only got 11 first-team players and one badge, and not a great deal of information about each player, but that's how it was back in '84. So next we have Deutschland, and you can see here very much the era of the mullet. It's a classic one there from Rudi Voller, Harold Schumacher, semi-mullet. Interesting as well that it wasn't a very consistent image that was used, because we can see here that Bernard Schuster had the previous iteration of the Adidas strip compared to his teammates. Now we have England. Interestingly enough, from my perspective, this is quite a rather interesting album, given that my affiliation is with Hibernian from Scotland. Now, from this page alone, Ray Wilkins played for us. He did sign when he was about 40 years old, and all he did was, stand in the centre circle and spray passes around. He was only, I think he played less than 10 games, possibly. Terry Butcher was also manager of Hibs, who managed to get them relegated, which was absolutely disastrous. And then going back to the Scotland one, Jim Layton played for Hibs. Alex McLeish was manager of Hibs. Who else do we have? Strachan was a Hibs fan. I think Kenny Dalglish played in a testimonial game for Hibs. But anyway, moving on. So that was a look at England. Mullet-wise, Mark Hateley, that's really it. Now Italy. They were a good side back then. Again, they have different strips. So it was I don't know if this was a rushed product or not. Now what I do remember is that the Panini sticker albums, that was always a winter thing. This was definitely a summer thing. I remember that quite clearly. So I don't know if they rushed it to get it out in time or not, but who knows. And France. Some big names there. There's Michel Platini. Anyway, and the last section was just called the All-Stars, which encompassed the best players around the world from other teams. So obviously Brazil's quite heavily featured, as is Argentina. There's Diego Maradona. Ian Rush from Liverpool, who of course played for Wales, who never really got qualification to any of the big tournaments back then. But yeah, this was a cool sort of side thing to the normal stickers that Panini gave us. And as I mentioned in the introduction, it did come with a scratch card. And it was a pretty simple concept. You either picked yellow or red, and you had to keep scratching. And you had to find a football. And when you failed to find the football, that was it, the game was over. I don't know if you could send off to win a prize or not, but I do know that I never managed to successfully scratch away a football from the centerpiece all the way to the goal. But regardless, it was an interesting concept, quite state-of-the-art for the time, and very enjoyable. And looking at the back here, I can see that this book was 20 pence. In terms of the prices of the cards, I don't actually know. I know that in 1985, I think it was 10p for a pack of Panini stickers. And I'm assuming it would have been a similar price, maybe slightly more because it was plastic as opposed to sticker. But regardless, an excellent piece of memorabilia here, and something that I'm very happy to have kept it for all these decades. So that was Panini's Football Superstars from 1984, and I hope that brought back some memories if you did have this as a child. So thank you for watching, with special thanks to the Patreons. Please like, please subscribe, and as always, stay tuned for more videos from All Things 80s.